The middle game. After the opening moves, the game of chess will transition to the middle game. And it will be best executed by defeating your opponents with incredible tactics. Would you like to improve your attacking abilities? Have you ever analyzed one of your games and discovered that you missed a cool tactic? Then this course is for you. By learning these tactical themes and attacking patterns, you will increase your tactical abilities and crush your opponents. Here is what you will learn. How to sacrifice in order to win. Discovered attacks, discovered checks, and double checks. These tactical chess principles will be illustrated as follows.
But not all sacrifices are immediately clear. Sometimes it's a true sacrifice where you can't exactly see the final outcome, but you have a sense it's good. In this position, White has a lot of firepower aiming at the Black king. Notice all of White's pieces are either directly in the king side or control king side squares. This is a good sign for attack. White could play queen to h5 and try to attack the h7 square, but notice that Black could play g6, blocking this attack. Maybe White has an idea of how to break open lines to the enemy king, but White can't see all the way to the end. All White can see is the potential of a big attack against Black's exposed position. Can you see a promising sacrifice? Right. Bishop takes h7. White sacrifices a bishop in order to gain open lines of attack against Black's castled king. If Black refuses the sacrifice and plays king to h8, White will play queen to h5. White's queen lines up against Black's king on the h-file. White will move the bishop on the next turn so the queen can check the king. So after g6, for example, or any other move, White will play bishop takes g6. The bishop opens up the h-file for the queen to deliver a check. After king to g7, White plays queen h7, checkmate. This is why Black has to accept the sacrifice with king takes h7. White now plays queen to h5, delivering a check and activating the queen. After king to g8, the h-file is open for attack. White didn't see the whole idea through, but knows that once a sacrifice is made, you have to keep attacking. Which piece can join the queen on the h-file to threaten checkmate? That's right, rook to h3. Black cannot stop queen to h7 or queen to h8 checkmate on the next turn. Notice after f6, hoping to open up a window for the king on f7, queen h8 is checkmate, because remember, the knight on d6 prevents the king from escaping. Let's see if you can find the right sacrifices in the following positions. The 8x8 chessboard gives us 64 squares to move around on, and it feels like there are always open squares. But occasionally those squares can run out, and one of your pieces can get trapped. It's often a surprising and frustrating experience to find that you literally have no good moves to save your piece. Let's look at a trap which happens when you don't follow the advice of keeping your knights off the rim or edge of the board. Here, White plays knight takes h4, grabbing what looks like a free pawn. Do you see how Black can trap the knight? That's right, with bishop e4. White can never free that knight, and the king will come in and capture the knight on the next turn. Let's take a look at another common trap. In this position, everything looks fine, and White simply castles kingside. But in reality, it's a trap. Black plays c5, attacking White's knight. After White's knight retreats to safety with knight to f3, the pawn marches forward, c4. The bishop is now trapped. A bishop that looked so free and powerful just 3 moves ago is now leaving the board on the next turn. The queen is such a powerful piece, and it usually controls so many squares, it's hard to believe it can get trapped. Don't be fooled. Any piece, no matter how powerful it can be, also can be trapped. In this position, Black greedily captures the pawn on b2. Notice Black's only safe square is the b6 square. White can now trap Black's queen and prevent its escape. Can you see how? Excellent. Rook f to b1. Notice the a-rook is important in protecting the pawn on a3 so that the queen cannot escape and capture that pawn. Black's queen can't escape on b6 either because the rook on b1 is protecting that square. Black must now give up the queen for a rook. Now it's time to test your piece trapping skills. In this position, white is down a piece. White plays the move d4. What is white's main idea? It looks like white is attacking the bishop on c5, which is true, but white is really creating a discovered attack by attacking black's queen with the dark squared bishop. The reason discovered attacks are so powerful is because you often get a free move with the piece you are moving. Your opponent must deal with the attack from the second piece and doesn't have time to handle both threats at once. In this case, black should move the queen, and then white will be able to capture black's bishop on c5 and regain material. Let's look at one more position together. White is placing serious pressure on black's pawn on f7. Should black move a piece to guard f7, or can you find a discovered attack that will prevent white's attack and win serious material for black? That's right, d3. Black opens up the g1 to a7 diagonal, discovering an attack on the queen on f2 with the bishop on a7, pinning it to white's king. White's queen cannot capture f7 since it is pinned, so black will win a queen for a bishop. White can try to block the attack with c5, but black can simply capture the pawn with bishop takes c5, and now there's no defense. Now it's your turn to practice discovered attacks. Let's take a look at one more example. In this position, black should play bishop e7 and focus on castling the king. Black does not sense the danger, however, and cannot resist capturing what black thinks is a free bishop on b5. Can you find a way to exploit black's mistake in leaving the king exposed on the e-file? Well, there are several good moves, one of them being knight to g6. This discovers the check against the king and also threatens the rook. But remember, when you find a good move, always look for a better one. White can win the queen with knight takes c6, capturing black's knight, threatening the queen, and also revealing the discovered check against the king. Even if the queen blocks the check with queen e7, white will win the queen after knight takes e7. Now it's your turn to practice discovered checks. What's better than checking the king with one of your pieces? Checking the king with two of your pieces. A double check is exactly what it sounds like, giving check with two pieces at the same time. And when you do this, it makes it much harder to get out of check because the king cannot capture or block the check and must move. The king cannot capture or block because it cannot capture both pieces at once or block both checks at once. Let's look at some examples. In this position, white can use a double check to win the game. Can you see how? That's right, knight to f7. The knight delivers check and also reveals the rook's check against the king as well. This is a double check and black cannot escape both checks at the same time. Let's take a look at another position. In this position, notice black's queen is lined up with white's king on the h1 to a8 diagonal. The only thing in between these two pieces is black's knight on e4. Can you find a double check that will win the game for black? That's right, knight to g3. Checkmate. Both the knight and queen deliver check against the king. Notice the king cannot move to g1 because the bishop is guarding that square as well, so the game is over. Checkmate. Let's take a look at one more position together. In this position, black decides to attack white's queen with rook a4, assuming that white must move the queen. Black didn't realize that white has a strong double check available. Can you find it? Great job. Knight to e7 is going to be a discovered and double check. If you said knight to f6 check, this is also another double check. Great job. After knight e7, the king is in check by both white's knight and queen. Even though the knight and queen are both under attack, black cannot capture both of those pieces at once to stop both checks. So the black king must move to h8. And after king h8, white ends the game with queen g8. Checkmate. Now it's your turn to practice delivering double checks.